welcome to Exiles TV on this beautiful day after Valentine's, February 5th. Oh, wait, no.
We missed a whole week, brother.
Did you miss us? We missed you.
Week.
We had ice, we had snow, we had pestilence, we had plague, we had man's inhumanity to man, but we survived.
Yep.
And we're back.
And it is a beautiful morning, though.
Like an overnight acne attack, we are back.
So here it is, the 22nd of February.
And what day in history is February 22nd?
I'm embarrassed to tell you that I don't know right off the top of my head.
George Washington's birthday.
Oh, really? His actual birthday.
His actual birthday.
I thought his birthday was always on a Monday somehow.
Well, by act of Congress, it's President's Day. So it's all of because remember, we used to have, do you remember these in school when you were a kid?
We had Washington's birthday,
and then
we celebrated Lincoln's birthday.
And they were like a week apart.
Yep.
And we're like, hoo-hoo, no school in the middle of the week. And the parents were like, no.
I'll tell you who loved that too was banks. Mm-hmm. Bank employees. It's like, well, all right. But yeah, here we are. President's Day was sort of a wash for a lot of people because their business wasn't open anyway.
Well, I mean, we did have, our neighbors who, you see us in Lafayette as well, and points west of there, you had the same kind of ice that we had, only you had snow to go with yours. And our friends down in Jefferson Parish and Orleans Parish, not quite as severe for y'all. You had a couple of nights that were really cold.
I'll tell you what surprised.
You didn't have the ice storm.
What surprised me is Natchez, Mississippi is not that much further north than us. It's what, 90 miles?
Yeah. That
90 miles apparently with the snow line made a hell of a lot of difference because we were already largely thawed and cleared up. It was still cold, but you know the roads were clear and everything. And my relatives, my mom, my sister, and brother-in-law, and their families were all still snowed in. And they live in a rural area where there's a steep hill to get out of the neighborhood and a steep hill to get into the neighborhood.
In February, though, 90 miles can be. Now you grew up in Pennsylvania, in a very, very cold town.
Cold and hilly too.
Yeah. Now, was Buffalo? You talking about going to Buffalo?
Buffalo's about 90 miles north.
Now,
of
do you
my
remember
hometown.
how damn much colder Buffalo was than your hometown in the wintertime?
But we always attributed that to Buffalo being right on Lake Erie, and you'd get that lake effect with just that howling, freezing wind coming in off of Lake Erie.
But the same thing happens with like the Alexandria and Monroe are roughly the same parallel as Natchez,
it's
right?
More than 90 miles, but take a look at the difference during some of the cold nights. We had the coldest night we had on record here was, during this last freeze, it got down to like 20.
Well, we had like 16 at our house, but yeah, it was, yeah.
But then you go up to Shreveport where they got down to 6. And they literally had a homeless man who was frozen to death.
Well, this whole weather thing was like a great big comma that as it came across from Texas and then dropped down again over like Natchez and then kind of dissipated. But we had friends in Austin, Texas that were telling us that it was 6 degrees and they had 6 inches of snow on the ground and more snow coming.
Wow.
And speaking of those poor folks in Texas, talked to my nephew this morning who lives in Dallas. And he, of course, born and raised in Chicago as well, so he was shoveling everybody's driveway for them. He still had a snow shovel in his neighborhood. But we were talking about the energy in Texas. These poor people that signed up for, what is it called, Giddy or whatever, where it's basically a giant roulette wheel for your energy prices. They will sell you wholesale energy, but now you've got to let them draft your bank account. And they have the right and the ability, if there's a power emergency and power becomes scarce, to raise what they charge you. So here's this guy in the suburb of Houston. He's retired. He signed up for this Giddy or Grabby or whatever it's called, Goofy, and he didn't read the fine print. And his bill went from, are you ready? 12 cents a kilowatt hour to $12 a kilowatt hour.
Oh, good Lord.
They drafted his account for $14,896 before their monthly fee, which was raised too because it was an emergency, of about $200. So this guy got hit for 15 grand for about 12 days of power usage.
Did he have anywhere near that kind of money in the bank?
He said they already took it. They got it. He's retired, so he had his retirement money in the bank. But I mean, here's the deal. First of all, don't do stupid things.
I wouldn't let the electric utility have access to my retirement account. It would, maybe let him draft a checking account. But
well, I'm sure he moves.
He had,
15 or 20
had to move
grand
money
at a
to
time,
cover the bill, and he could argue the bill later.
No, they already took it. He was going to argue the bill after they took the money. So the money was in his account. But
sad.
The point of the matter is, anything that's too good to be true probably is. Mm-hmm. And this state-run electric grid in Texas is a complete and utter dismal failure, and they are screwing the nads off of all these people. As my nephew told me today, he said, "Don't worry, Uncle Bill. These people that are getting gouged are going to get sued back into the Stone Age."
Wow.
Unbelievable.
See, now suddenly, people say, "Don't you wish you lived in Texas?" It's like, not today, I don't.
I was always a big admirer of Texas, and then when they started coming out with these stories, it's like, what the hell were you people thinking? What were you thinking?
Bill, before we go to break here, I've had some feedback on the show, and feedback from people in Lafayette, and feedback from people who actually catch us on Cox in New Orleans. And they said, you never talk about what's going on in the New Orleans area unless you're just criticizing the mayor, which is true. We like criticizing the mayor of New Orleans.
I'm looking at your media. Same deal.
So when we come back, we're going to go to Lafayette, Louisiana. And no, let's go to Jefferson Parish.
Go to Jefferson Parish first.
Let's go to Jefferson Parish first. But so we're going to talk some local stuff in Jefferson Parish and how it affects everybody. But first, a quick break, and we'll be right back with Exiles TV.
Nice.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. So off we go to Jefferson Parish, where there was a horrible incident at a gun and shooting shop in Jefferson Highway over the weekend, and it's not without controversy.
No, it is not. There are 3 people that are dead. 2 are hospitalized. Jefferson Gun Outlet has a retail gun store. They teach concealed carry classes, and they also have, I believe it's a 26-lane shooting range. And from all accounts, a man walked into the shooting range, and he had in his waistband, not holstered, but in his waistband, an automatic pistol, probably a 9 or a 40 caliber.
Technically a semi-automatic pistol.
Yeah. Well, when you're talking a pistol, you're talking about automatic loading. So,
Yes.
yeah. And he had an extended magazine, which was clearly visible, one of these that would hold 30 or 40 rounds.
Oh, I see those in movies and stuff.
Yeah. And like every other gun shop on the planet, there's a big sign that says, weapons must be unloaded and breeches must be open to enter this facility. Every place I've ever shot, you are not allowed to go to the range part without having an unloaded and breech open weapon. So one of the employees of the store, a fellow named Herbert Noah Fischbach, said, you need to unload that weapon. And what happened was the shooter, who we will identify in just a moment, didn't like that and argued and raised his gun and fired what they're saying is a warning shot into the ceiling. The shooter, who is dead, has been identified as Joshua Jamal Williams, 27 years old. He also then shot Mr. Fischbach, who told him to unload his weapon, and just started shooting randomly. Another person, 51-year-old, what is her name, Kevin? Help me out here. Veronica Biot.
Yep, Veronica Biot.
Was in the doorway, and she was struck by gunfire and died. And then you have the injured, which include Mr. Williams' brother. And Mr. Williams was killed by other people who had guns on them in the facility, customers and employees. And that was the end of the incident. It was all over very quickly. It was all very, very violent. Here's the problem that I have. While the investigators are still taking measurements, while you can see the gun on the ground near the now covered body of the shooter as he was trying to flee, relatives gathered there and they started screaming that Joshua Jamal Williams was murdered, that they gunned him down, that, again, he didn't do nothing. They fired on him.
And
now,
they know this how?
They know this because that's what you do now if your kid is in the wrong and you're from the community.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a black community thing. I think a lot of people knee-jerk to think that their relative is innocent of any wrongdoing. But were you there? Did you see it? Then what are you talking about? That's my question. What, man? You just got here.
There's the gun.
You're proclaiming what
There's
happened.
the body. Here are the witnesses that say, they all say the same thing. He walked in, didn't like it when he was told to unload his weapon, fired into the ceiling, and then a gunfight started, and 2 people got killed, and he got killed for his trouble. And again, at the scene, they're all running out there. An anonymous relative, he didn't want to give his name. He said, Williams would not have started a gunfight at a place known as a hangout for off-duty law enforcement officers and ex-military personnel. That would be a death sentence. Really?
Well, what do we know? You know, there have been people known to do suicide by cop or suicide by the actions of another.
This is dumbass with a bad attitude is what this is. They've got video from the store, okay? They have got eyewitnesses that all say exactly the same thing. My problem is the relatives running immediately to cameras and microphones saying they killed him, they gunned him down. He was innocent. He didn't do this. Because this is not the first time that you or I or anybody who watches media, who listens to media, who reads newspapers, who is in the media, who covers these things, has heard this. My favorite is the kid here in Baton Rouge about 8 or 9 years ago that walked into a Circle K. He's on camera. He's performing an armed robbery. He shoots, maybe accidentally, maybe on purpose. It's all on video. And his sainted 75-year-old grandmother says, he was here with me. He was on my couch watching television.
Yeah, that bothers me. It's like...
It's not the first time. It's not the first rodeo for them either. And I know we're up against a break, but I want to talk to people in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and Lafayette. And do you think that any of this does any good for the normally just cause of claiming that black males particularly often suffer at the hands of white males and at the hands of law enforcement? When you walk into a gun store and you do this, and then your relatives claim you didn't do it, that you were ambushed in some way. It defies all logic, but I'll tell you what I think it does. It really, really harms my attitude about thinking about the just cause of the people from the community and their interactions with police or their interactions with other armed citizens.
Well, lying never helps, that's for sure.
Well, but the thing is, it's worse than lying. It's the universal cover story. That mother didn't go to the news media and say, I don't know what got into him. He said he was just going to go to the range with his brother, and oh my God, I can't believe my son is dead, and I can't believe he did this. Mm-hmm. She immediately went to the cover story. They gunned him down. Now, what harm does that do to every young black male that does get assaulted or beaten or shot unjustly? That's my concern.
And we'll examine that in just a moment. We're going to take another break and be right back with Exiles TV.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Segan Lane.
We're talking about the shooting that took place at a gun shop in Jefferson Parish over the weekend. 3 people were killed, including the alleged precipitator of the events.
The alleged
27-year-old man that
aggressor.
The aggressor. Okay, the 27-year-old man walked into the gun shop, and at the time he walked into the door, he was already in violation of gun shop rules. When you enter a gun shop with your own weapon, it's supposed to be unloaded, and the breech is supposed to be in the lock-back position when you enter. This is just about any gun shop I've ever seen.
Everyone I've ever seen.
If you're going to bring your own weapon in. His was not only not in an open breech position, but he apparently had a magazine and an illegal. Well, are they illegal or are they?
They're not illegal in Louisiana, but I mean, it was plain.
It was one of those, you know, you could get way
magazines.
more than 15 rounds in this magazine. I mean, it sticks out, what, 7 inches below the butt? 6 or 7.
I mean, when I saw the crime scene photo of the gun laying on the ground,
excuse me,
it was like a beacon because the gun is black and the magazine was polished aluminum or nickel plate, and I mean, it was this much. I mean, the employees at the store could clearly tell that there was a magazine in that weapon because it was an extended mag.
But apparently the young man was told to comply by management of the store to unload the weapon. Instead, he decided to fire a shot into the ceiling. And you're in a gun shop, you squeeze off a round, you're liable to get shot at.
Well, what happened was the clerk told him he couldn't go into the range until he unloaded that gun, and he argued. He fired that shot. There were 2 customers who were on the range where it's permissible to have loaded firearms because you're shooting at targets. A lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, and they came out and they engaged him. He shot the clerk who he was arguing with. He just fired randomly, I guess, and hit this 51-year-old woman who was there to pick up a firearm that she was buying for, I believe, her husband.
Yep, 59-year-old Veronica Billiot. She was going to pick up a gun for home security, they say.
He made it outside, and he got shot along with his brother who accompanied him by the 2 people who were firing on the range. So 2 customers injured, a clerk killed, his brother injured, he's killed, and this woman who was just walking through the door killed. And you know, I just think what we need to examine here is the immediate reaction was a Shaggy song. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Or maybe the old Chuck Berry song. Babe, it wasn't me. And which I think is ridiculous. I think it's cheap. I think it's tawdry. I think it fuels all kinds of racist stereotypes and suspicions. And I just think it's really bad. It's bad for the folks that are in the unfortunate position that just because of their color, they are being looked at askance by police officers all over this state and all over this country. Now, maybe I'm taking it a little too far. You tell me if you think I'm off the reservation here. But I don't want to hear, when they've got video and they've got eyewitnesses that can give a detailed account that all match up, mama out at the crime scene and saying, they murdered him. That was her words. They murdered him. He didn't start that fight. He wasn't looking for a gunfight. They murdered him. I would submit anybody that walks into a range and store with a loaded weapon in their waistband and then takes it out when you're told to unload the weapon and fires a shot into the ceiling is most definitely looking for a fight. There is no other explanation.
I think that the reaction of extreme sadness and despair manifests itself in the attitude that, you know, he couldn't have possibly. First of all, someone you love. It's your son, your grandson, whatever, someone you love. And they're dead. And you're being asked to immediately believe that they did something wrong that precipitated their death. And I think if you love them, your knee-jerk reaction is going to be denial. But we got to be careful with these proclaimants of, you know, they murdered. Remember, we had during the Alton Sterling discussion, we had an ordained priest say that Baton Rouge police murdered that man, and we do 2 investigations proved that that didn't happen. There was no murder committed. There certainly was a homicide, but not a murder. I think that people get emotional, and one of the main things when you're in a highly emotional state is to deny that your loved one could have done anything wrong.
Well, I think there is some merit to what you say, but I'm sorry, I've just heard it too many times, I've seen it too many times, and many of these, they're as close to the TV camera as they can be. They're so close that the microphone is distorting, and there's not a tear in their eye, and they are angry and they are screaming. It is a conditioned response, Kevin, for a lot of these people. There, I said it. If Kevin pulls a gun and caps somebody, I'm going to scream that they murdered him. It's a conditioned response. Deny, 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 deny.
Well, how many times have you seen the wailing, grieving mother or grandmother or whatever saying, you know, my boy is a good boy, he never does anything, he never did anything
and he's got a record as long as your arm.
I mean, it's something we've all seen many times.
But see, that's why I say it's a conditioned response, Kevin.
Excuse me.
I don't think it's a spontaneous grief response, because, as you say, my boy's a good boy. He never does anything wrong, except for this armed robbery last Tuesday and the felony carjacking in October of 2019 and the breaking and entering in May of 2000. I mean, it is a conditioned freaking response. Not universally, but when it happens like this, it's a conditioned response. And it's not helpful. That's my point.
See, I came from a family who was like, if they said, you know, Mrs. Gallagher, your son's dead, he, you know, pulled out a gun in a gun shop and started shooting wildly, and customers put him down. She said, oh my God, why did he do that? You know, my mom would be, what did he do?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, well, again, it was a whole different era. And I would say, in fairness, if you're a white suburban teenager or young man who was raised with the parents who would scream, what did he do? There was good reason for that. Not because you were some kind of an angel, but because the cops weren't as on the lookout for young white males as they were for young black males. I get that. I get that. But the moms and the grandmoms and the aunts and the siblings that immediately try to deflect any responsibility from the accused party does not help the next one down the line.
What I'd like to get to, if it's possible in a national discussion, what triggers the incredibly bad decision making? I mean, you walk into a gun store. There's going to be gun nuts. I mean, a gun enthusiasts in a gun store.
And
some of them on the range, as you said, the people that shot at him inside the store were on the range. He's also shot at by people outside the store that were on the way in. There, and they quickly reloaded their guns, and because you know, Sheriff Joe Lopinto says he was also shot by parties outside the store. Deciding to slap leather at a gun shop is really bad decision making.
Well, one of the things that we don't like to look at, because it's hard, okay, it's not, oh, you want an answer? Let me reach in here. Okay, here's your answer. Bad decision making amongst many communities is a very large problem. And if you read about, let's take it away from impoverished communities. Let's take it to privileged white kids, the kinds that go to the really nice private high schools, and on their 16th birthday they get a new BMW or Lexus, and by the time they're 16 and a half, they've had 5 tickets and they've wrapped it around a tree, and maybe they survived. These are good examples of really bad decision making. You want to know why? Their parents have told them that they don't have to worry about any bad consequences in their life.
Boom. Consequences of your bad decisions.
Now, in the community, where it's a little tougher growing up, and I say that tongue-in-cheek because it's a hell of a lot tougher growing up, okay? It is. Bad decision making is generational, sometimes multi-generational. Well, I don't want you fighting, but you do what you got to do. And if this guy insulted you, you need to take action. So you have, don't diss me. You disrespected me. I had a guy in a store, and I couldn't believe this. And I must say I was a little abrupt, but I was paying him in cash, and I put the cash on the counter, and he said, "Don't disrespect me by putting that money on the counter. You put it in my hand." I said, "You need to remember, I'm your damn customer. You pick up the money, you make my change, and if you make any more noise, I'm going to strangle you." But again, scrawny little 16-year-old kid who's telling me I'm disrespecting him by putting my money on the counter rather than putting it in his hand.
Wow.
That's the thing. Combat is often, or escalation is often a first response. And it's deadly. Because usually if you're escalating outside your neighborhood, you're escalating by somebody who is carrying a badge, or is armed, or has more friends in the room than you do right now, and it doesn't end well.
Well, no doubt there's going to be, well, we can't say this was police brutality, but I'll bet you that the family lawyers up. And
they've already lawyered up.
And they want to accuse some people of murder.
They got one of these lawyers for hire that everybody except their dead client and their family is always wrong.
Is it the one who bounces his commercial?
No. This is a national name. Yeah, but it's absolutely absurd. Now, if the video from the gun shop comes back and Mr. Fischbach was screaming and yelling racial slurs at this guy and telling him he was going to shoot him, then we have a different thing to talk about. But you know what? The eyewitnesses are saying that isn't what happened.
To what extent do you trust those eyewitnesses?
Well,
because I think an eyewitness can lie just as much as a grieving survivor.
But you know what? If you're half smart, if you're half smart and there's a camera there, you're not going to lie. Another
quick break, and we'll look at some police action here in Baton Rouge that is under scrutiny. I saw the video. I didn't see anything wrong with the video. But then again, that's just me, white privilege. And we'll also talk about a feud brewing between the governor and the mayor-president of Lafayette.
Oh, maybe we're going to do that one next.
Okay, if you wish to, Lafayette we go to next on Exiles TV.
Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Balello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Of all the auto brands on the road today, only one has been named the best auto brand for 6 straight years. That brand is Mazda. Come shop and save on the award-winning lineup of new Mazdas right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
On January 25, 2021, Pelican Broadcasting Network, LLC, licensee of KPBN LP Channel 11, RF Channel 11, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, filed an application with the Federal Communications Commission for renewal of its broadcast license. Members of the public wishing to view this application or obtain information about how to file comments and petitions on the application can visit www.fcc.gov/station search and search in the list of KPBN LP's filed applications.
Welcome back to Exiles TV, turning our attention to Lafayette in the center of our state, back in Cajun country, Acadiana. The mayor-president, like Baton Rouge, Lafayette has a city-parish government, and the mayor-president of Lafayette, Josh Guillory, is feuding with Governor John Bell Edwards over the failed mask mandate. John Bell Edwards has criticized Lafayette's failure to impose a mandate to wear a mask as a failure of leadership. Well, when you say failure of leadership, it's not, I dare say if he said that there was a failure of leadership in Baton Rouge, Sharon Weston Broome would get upset as well.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we got to protect our funny baloney jobs, gentlemen. Harumph, harumph, harumph.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
But here, I'm just going to go right to a statement here from Josh Guillory, mayor-president of Lafayette, is deeply hypocritical for Governor John Bell Edwards to attack Lafayette in the national media, criticizing our city council for recognizing the challenges and the cost involved in enforcing a local mask mandate. Where is the governor's enforcement of his mask mandate? The state fire marshal reports to him. ATC reports to him. How many citations have they written for the nearly 4,000 complaints they have received? The answer is 0. The real failure of leadership is immediately evident in Governor Edwards' decision to use his mask mandate as a partisan weapon rather than actually enforce it. How much of the $1.9 billion provided to the state by the federal government for COVID response has been dedicated to enforcement of his mandate? Why does he expect local governments, yet again, to bear the cost of state mandates? If the governor wants to use the national media to audition for a job in Washington, D.C., ouch, 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 he might want to make sure his own house is in order first. Those are the words, with some slight paraphrasing there, of Josh Guillory, mayor-president of Lafayette.
I got to tell you, I don't know Mayor Guillory. I believe he's in his first term, right? Mm-hmm. And I've never met him. I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup. But I absolutely agree with him. And I have been trying very, very hard during all of this to kind of keep an open mind. But I do and have criticized Governor Edwards on the lack of enforcement, and I've been consistent about this. It started with the preacher up in Central, and they just let him continue to violate. I know a friend of this program, Butch Browning, the state fire marshal. A lot of this falls on his shoulders, and he is following a directive to educate rather than cite.
Right.
And I'm sorry. I think if you're going to go to the trouble to sign an order that has the force of law, and when you let people basically give you the middle finger and you don't do anything about it, I don't know how else you could categorize it as a failure. Now, I don't know if it's a failure of leadership or a failure of enforcement, but it's still a failure. And for Mayor Guillory to say, look, you want us to enforce all of this through the arms of your executive branch, and they're not doing it, but you want us to bear the costs for everything else. I think that's a pretty good point, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a real good point.
I think the Mayor of Lafayette makes an excellent point. It's like you've got $1.9 billion in federal money for your COVID response. Certainly some of that can filter its way down if you want these mask mandates to be enforced. Now, what Lafayette did was they didn't vote one in. 11 days ago, the Lafayette City Council made a decision by vote in an emergency meeting that a mask mandate would not be enforced by the Lafayette Police Department. Split vote, racial and party lines. Does that sound familiar to you?
No, not in Louisiana.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Not in Louisiana.
The decision drew national attention to Lafayette and Louisiana when CBS This Morning lead national correspondent and Lafayette native David Begnode reported on the story. So here's Begnode calling attention to it and talking to the governor, and I think that there's also something to be made of the mayor's accusation. Let me go back and read. If the governor wants to use the national media to audition for a job in Washington, D.C., he might want to make sure his own house is in order first.
Well, I don't think he needs to audition for a job. I think there's probably one there if he wants it. So that's just kind of a jab.
Yeah,
and
I think if, well, I'll bring this up at another time.
I don't blame the mayor taking a jab. You know, that's the way politics works. But,
by the way, the mayor is not a member of the governor's political party.
No. But here's the thing that I have to wonder, you know, just like we have what they call in other jurisdictions corporation councils, a legal advisor that's in-house that advises the corporation of the parish of Lafayette and the city of Parish. You know, we call him the parish attorney here. I wouldn't be so sure that Lafayette Mayor Guillory didn't go to his legal advisors and say, look, these mask mandates have been around now for 7 months, and we have seen absolutely no enforcement from the executive branch and the state officials that have the wherewithal and the authority to enforce them. If we start to enforce it here, are we going to be liable? Will somebody sue us and go to court and say, well, the governor's office, which issued the mandate, is not enforcing them. They're not writing tickets that cost $500 like you guys are. I mean, if he's a half-smart guy, I'm thinking he probably checked that out first.
Well, I think the governor clearly is worried about the optics of arresting a bunch of people for a simple thing like they wouldn't wear a mask. Plus, when you've emptied your jails because of COVID-19 and you don't want criminals to get sick, you're going to send otherwise law-abiding citizens to jail because they wouldn't wear a piece of cloth over their face?
They're going to send them to jail. They're going to write them a citation.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Well,
and what's the citation going to do besides it's just money, 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 money?
Well, I mean, when you get a speeding ticket, what does it do? It maybe thinks you makes you think the next time that you're going to mash down on that accelerator.
If it hurts enough, you might slow down next time.
Well, and it's going to hurt you on your insurance. You know, but here's the deal. The complete lack of enforcement at the state level, and I mean, we had some of it play out right in front of us in our backyard for our friends in Lafayette. You probably saw the news stories about this preacher who kept basically defying the order not to have hundreds of people in his sanctuary at the height of the COVID, and they just kept saying, yeah, he did it again, yeah. And finally, they wrote him a citation to appear when he was driving one of the church's buses and looked like he was trying to back and hit a protester on the street. But they never enforced him for his overcrowding and holding the church services. They have never enforced other people. They've gone out to educate. So if I'm the mayor of Lafayette or any other city and I'm catching heat for not enforcing a mask mandate, I'm going to say, take it to the 3rd floor and talk to them. Have them call me, and we'll decide who's going to enforce it and how, but it's going to have to be universal before I am going to enforce it unilaterally in Lafayette. I mean, this just makes sense. I don't blame the mayor for taking the stance that he's taking. I don't blame him at all.
Well, we'll wait and see how this one plays out, but it doesn't look like Lafayette is going to impose a mask mandate, much less enforce it. And I don't know that they should. To some extent, do we have to have a mandate? Do we have to have how often do you see people not wearing a mask? The other day I was in my local grocery store and I saw a mask flouter. And I'll be honest with you, he was an ass about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was being an ass about it. But he was the only guy in the entire, it was busy. It was when that cold weather was coming and people were trying to stock up. And everybody, every customer, every employee, everybody in that store was wearing a mask. And there were probably 350 individuals under that roof, except that one guy. So you've got a minority of individuals that are flouting the mask rules.
Yeah, that's not many.
I know where I'm expected to wear a mask, and I put one on religiously every time if I'm going to go in a shop, I'm going to wear a mask.
But you know, Kevin, there is a bigger point here, and I think that the mayor of Lafayette has pointed it out. The bigger point is, if you are sitting in the chair and you take pen to paper and you sign an order that has been confirmed by the courts that it is legal, and then you let people blatantly not follow that order without consequence, to me, that renders your order null and void, and it just puts me at risk as the chief executive of a smaller political subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good example of, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. You can't spend 8 months going, we don't really want to write anybody up. We don't really want to arrest anybody. But you in Lafayette, you should.
So
you can't do that.
Trouble in Lafayette, we'll try to keep an eye on it for you. Of course, you folks in Lafayette, you're living it.
Oh, by the way, if any of you know Mayor Guillory or his people, we would love to have him on the show.
Love to. And we have often invited the governor to come on the program, but I think the only media the governor's interested in doing right now is national media, and of course his what's he doing, like 2 or 3 media briefings a week now?
No, not a week, but yeah, 2 or 3 every 2 weeks for sure.
But I think the governor probably thinks he's a little too busy to come on a little BOTV show. Meanwhile, back here in River City in Baton Rouge, police arrested...
Hang on, we got a break here.
Yeah, I'm going to tease it. This is called a tease.
I'll tease you.
This is called a tease. We have trouble in River City here. The police arrested a 13-year-old boy, and folks don't like the way it happened. There's video. I don't know if we can share it with you or not, but we'll try. But we'll talk about it when we come back. Exiles TV.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
We're making 2021 the year of savings, and it starts right now at Team Toyota. Come get a new 21 Corolla for just $189 a month, or get a 20 Camry for just $19,995. It's a year full of savings starting right now, right here at Team Toyota.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Cantea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Cantea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Back with Exiles TV and to things going on here in the capital city, Baton Rouge. The police recently, was it on Saturday or Friday? I can't remember what day it actually took place.
Sunday was when the video came out.
Yep, but police arrested a 13-year-old boy. And there's a lot not known about this. Why did they arrest him? Why did they seek to arrest him? What had he allegedly done or anything like that? These things are not yet completely known. But I saw video this morning on the early morning news on one of our local stations of the arrest. It was apparently someone's handheld cell phone cam. But it's already got the mayor, President Sharon Weston Broome, concerned. Says, I have viewed the short snippet of video and snapshot shared via social media, she says. The actions I viewed, she goes on, prompt me to contact our chief of police to ensure he was aware of the situation. Chief Murphy Paul, has assured me the reformed system has been implemented under our leadership and we will allow for prompt, transparent review of the incident. Now,
I saw the video too.
I'm being told by people are saying chokehold. I'm looking at it. A local activist is calling it a chokehold. I don't think that this boy was choked at all. I see a police officer using the weight of his body and an arm across his chest to restrain him.
Well, here, I'm looking at the video right now. It's a loop. It's only a few seconds. All right. First of all, has neck, when used with police, become the new N-word? Because he is not touching the kid's throat in any way. The kid's neck is in the crook of his arm, and it looks like he's trying to keep the kid's head off the pavement. And he has his shoulder, his right shoulder, on the kid's left shoulder to restrain him.
Now, the kid was resisting arrest.
Oh, yeah.
And see, what is a grown man, a cop, to do when a 13-year-old is resisting arrest? If he's 13, chances are you've got the body weight necessary just to overpower him and hold him immobile.
Well, but this idea, all right, if you don't like the way that they took him down and restrained him, say that. But they're screaming choking and chokehold. You cannot chokehold somebody with the crook of your arm when it's on the back side of the throat.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're getting into this where this is what we're going to say. That the cops brutalized this child and they were trying to choke him out. That's what is going to be heard over and over. I mean, I can see where they're trying to, I mean, they got him up. They got him sitting up. The cop was only on the ground with him for a few seconds, and they're trying to cuff him. His arms are behind his back. 3 guys are holding him, and he's still resisting. And you know what? The adults, one of whom is his aunt, who took the video, they're not telling him whatever his name is, because that hasn't been released.
Stop fighting, stop resisting, comply,
You're
comply,
get hurt.
comply.
Just go ahead and do what the officers say. No, they're not saying that. They're screaming at the cops. And you know what? I think the review is going to say, because, I mean, they're not hurting this kid. They're not slamming him around. And I do believe that the cop was keeping his head from hitting the pavement by having his head face up this way.
God forbid a cop would have let the kid's head hit the pavement. Then that would have been a whole other thing. So, yeah, I think the cop was probably trying to prevent this young man from being injured while he was resisting arrest.
But, you know, it's a shame. We've gotten to the point in this city, and I don't know about in JP or in Orleans or in Lafayette, but you know what? I think the cops would rather go and have an enema than have to go hands-on on a young black male in this city. I think they would prefer to have a high colonic than have to go hands-on with a young black male in this city.
But what are they to do? They can't say, you know, they can't radio dispatch and go, suspect is young black male, 52 and white, I'm not touching him. You know, you can't do that. Well, and as you well know, a police action takes on a whole different dynamic when the skin color of the alleged perpetrator and the police officer are not the same.
Well, and one more thing before we have to go. Mayor Broome used very circumspect language, saying that the video was called to her attention and she called it concerning. There are going to be people that hear that word and don't think that she was interested to know more. She was concerned about the incident. They're gonna say criminal instead of concerning. Mm-hmm. Because again, we use the second N word. We use neck. This is not helpful.
Well, we'll stay with it. And if updates are needed, we'll have them for you right here on Exiles TV. Until tomorrow, take care.
Bye-bye, everybody. Stay well.